Hey guys, it's Jason here to help you multiply enjoyment. And before we get started today, if you like this stuff and you want to go deeper, just go to multiplyenjoyment.com. I want to ask you a question today that for some of you will probably represents the biggest and easiest opportunity to multiply enjoyment that you have. Here it is. In what area of my life would I prefer something different, but am afraid the cost of addressing it is too high to even consider? I'll say it again. In what area of my life would I prefer something different, but am afraid the cost of addressing it is too high to even consider? I think it was back in the 70s or so, Harry Brown called this the box trap. And before you shut down on me on this question, if you have kind of a recognition to that question, if you resonate with it, but you don't really want to ask it, and the hair on the back of your neck is standing up, but you don't really want to have to think about it, just relax, because I was in that situation before, and I'm not even going to ask you to address that situation. I'm really not. The first step is a lot simpler than that. It's a lot more private than that. And I want to make the case for you that if you are in that situation, that acknowledging that area of your life or that particular circumstance in private and on paper is the most powerful thing you could do right now in terms of accelerating the quality of your life experiences. And here's why. Number one is your fears will fade once you actually look at them. Fears have this funny way of being a lot more scary when they're vague and they're ill-defined. But I think you'll find that once you write it down and look at it and address it on paper, that it's nothing more than just another set of problems, right? It's not anything monstrous or unapproachable. It's just another set of problems. The thing is, though, is it's a better set of problems. And it is because it's aligned, it's a set of problems that are actually aligned with what you want, right? With how you want to experience life. And it could be anything. My most obvious example was a 10-year relationship that wasn't working well for me or the other person. And I was absolutely terrified of what it would mean to address that and to bring it up. But it could be anything. It could be in the area of sex and relationships, your job or career, spiritual beliefs, living situation, family dynamics, personal mission, anything, right? And once you look at it for the first time, directly, in private, on paper, you'll find that it's not nearly the life-ending circumstance that you thought it was. The second reason I think acknowledging it on paper and in private is the best thing you could do is because there are few feelings in the world that are as euphoric as finally telling the difficult truth about what you really want. Imagine the freedom of finally being aligned with what you actually want instead of what you've been told to want. And imagine the power of having looked directly at your most central fear and decided to live on your terms and decided that living on your terms is worth looking at that fear. So not only are you aligned with what you want, but you're actually in a position now where you can go to work improving the number one circumstance or situation that has been pulling the most at your happiness. And I think most importantly, I'll never forget the moment after facing my own situation, facing my own fear. I actually literally looked in the mirror. I know that's a weird thing to do, but I did, and I broke down. And the reason for that was because for the first time in my life, I had done something very, very difficult because that's what I needed. And the face that looked back at me in the mirror was one of the greatest rewards that I've experienced, and that feeling has never left me. The feeling of just looking and having the identity of knowing that you care enough about yourself to tell the truth is something that never leaves you. The third reason I think addressing this area and situation in private on paper is so important, or so effective, is because what's at stake is way more important than the consequences you're afraid of as a result of facing this issue. So let's imagine for just a second, take kind of a morbid experiment and pretend that we're each going to die on our 80th birthday. I happen to think that most of us will live way longer than that, but say you are. And on that day, you're clear-headed, you have the chance to think about your life. And as you look back, or you look forward over the next 24 hours and realize that after this 24 hours, it's all gone. The shot is done. The lights go out. It's over. Given that opportunity, how will you wish you had lived? Especially in regard to telling the difficult truth about what you actually want. How will you wish you had lived? Do you see how that question in that context reframes the importance of our choices? You see how it kind of diminishes the fear and the fear that we've allowed to stop us from telling the truth and from living life on our terms. So all progress starts with telling the truth. And that's a quote from Dan Sullivan, and I love it. All progress starts with telling the truth. So if you're in a situation where you would prefer something different, but you're afraid, number one, your fears are not as scary as you think they are, and you absolutely have what it takes to handle the truth. Number two, there's no feeling in the world like the feeling of finally telling the difficult truth about what you actually want. And number three, what's at stake, i.e., your one shot, your life, is way more important than the consequences that you're afraid of in addressing this issue. So today, take a piece of paper and a pen, go somewhere private, and face this issue once and for all. You don't have to necessarily take action on it, but just write it down, right? And I got so extreme. I did this. I even gave myself permission to like tear up the paper and like throw it away or burn it or just crazy stuff. But you got to give yourself an environment where you will tell the truth that you have been afraid to tell for years. And again, this may not apply to everyone, but if it does apply to you, as it did to me, it's sirens and alarms are going off right now, right? Take that time, give yourself permission to just tell yourself the truth, and knowing you don't have to take it any further than that. You can just tell the truth, leave it alone if you want to, and you can move forward with that, right? So I'm encouraging you to acknowledge it, right, and engage with it. But I'm not saying go tomorrow and quit your job, get divorced, and tell your mother you're never going to see her again. These are real choices with real consequences, and they do need to be handled intelligently and strategically. If you do this exercise and you want to have somebody to talk to, you want an objective ear for someone that has been through this before, and someone that can help you mitigate mitigate the collateral damage and maximize the upside of facing this situation, just go to multiplyenjoyment.com, and there you'll be able to schedule a time where you and I can talk on the phone, and we'll put together a strategy of a few simple changes that will disproportionately improve the quality of your experiences, the level of your daily enjoyment, to the amount of effort and the time put in. And not surprisingly, one of the issues that we'll look at is this box trap, is this situation that that you're afraid to address, where you prefer something different, but you're afraid the cost of getting out is too high. If you're in that scenario, that is one of the first things we'll talk about, and I'll give you some perspective again from somebody who has been there, who has done that, and how this is just another problem to solve. Yes, it is life-changing. Yes, it is incredible when you face it, but really it's just another problem to solve, and we can solve it together. If you like that stuff that we put together over the phone and you want me to help you implement it, and I think I can help you, then you'll get the chance to invest in the class, the deep dive class on multiplying enjoyment that we've got coming up next month. So go to multiplyenjoyment.com and I'll talk to you then. Take care. Bye.